Welcome, everyone, to the Navigating the Intersection of Deep Tech and Social Responsibility in Venture Building, that's a mouthful, panel discussion. Today we have Esther Pegs, who will be moderating the panel today, and we have three female founders of Deep Tech Ventures that have gone through the HighTechXL Deep Tech Venture Building Program. Esther holds a Master of Business Administration and Organizational Psychologist degrees and focuses on high-performance teams. As a team dynamics expert, she supports startups from team formation to high performance at the Netherlands' only deep tech venture builder, HighTechXL. Esther and her team bring together entrepreneurial, innovation-minded individuals and groundbreaking technologies to solve grand societal challenges. Special interests include diversity in teams, female leadership, and objectifying the gut feeling we have about teams we work with. Joining Esther on the panel are Anitha, co-founder and CTO of Senergetics. Valentina Litovcheno, co-founder of Mikron.X, and she'll tell you that story. And Ceyda Ozbay, co-founder of Infitiv. Welcome, ladies, and let's get started.
Thank you. Thanks, Cheryl. Before we actually start, and I start grilling you with all kinds of questions, I would like to give a bit of background on why we are organizing this panel. First of all, these ladies deserve to be on stage and in the spotlight. I think they're doing an amazing job. They're basically founding their own company, and not any company but in deep tech, which is quite challenging. And on top of that, they're doing it in a country that is not originally their own. So having said that, I think it's excellent to have them on stage in this conference where the theme is Dare to Grow. So who better to tell the story than the ladies themselves? Secondly, of course, at HighTechXL, we believe that entrepreneurship, innovation and technology can contribute to solving some of the challenges we are facing as a society at the moment. And if any of you, after hearing the stories of those ladies, feel a bit of spark of entrepreneurship, come and see me after, during lunch, so we can talk a bit further and maybe explore together whether this could also be something for you. Okay, having said that, maybe small introductions on your side. So we know your name, we see some pictures in the background, but maybe it's nice to explain who you are, what your company is doing, and maybe also elaborate a bit on the motto that's behind us. If you can still remember.
My name is Valentina, and I have always been, all my life, have been in technological sector. I was working in oil and gas, then I was working in construction, and somewhere deep inside me there was always, why are you doing this for other people? Why wouldn't you do something what your heart wants? And certain in uncertainty is true, but when you have a daughter to raise, it's not that easy to drop things and just start your own business. You do want some backup. So it took me a while. Actually took me more than 22 years, letting my daughter to grow. And then I say freedom is when you have nothing more to lose. This is how I found HighTechXL. And you know, it's where the things changed. It's you're becoming the boss of your own life, and you're also still having a passion of being close to technology. And we started a lovely venture, Mikron.X, where we were trying to bring the anti-icing coating to wind energy, and our drive was sustainable energy. Yeah, we wanted to free this world from fossil oil. However, after almost a year, we realized that the technology was not working and that we didn't get the funds that we wanted and needed to raise. And actually, this is how we made the decision to close the company. The biggest learning out of this one-year journey...
Not yet. Save it for the end.
Still going on with the business, but with a different one.
Anitha.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Anitha. I'm co-founder and CTO of Senergetics. In Senergetics, we use the latest photonic integrated circuit technology to develop some asset health integrity for process industry. So predominantly process industry, I believe it's a man's world, but I would like to step in and just see what are the opportunities and just learn from there. This is my first time being an entrepreneur, so I'm just looking forward to this. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Jayda. I am co-founder and CEO of Infitiv. I have background in industrial engineering. I worked in different corporate companies for almost 10 years, mainly in defense and electronics industry. I hold the positions like project management and strategy management. And then in 2020, we made a decision with my husband to come to Netherlands. Then I was looking for something more challenging, but also at the meantime more attractive for me. So in a way, I followed my dreams, my hopes. Then I established Infitiv. So I would be happy to and excited to tell you more about Infitiv and the challenges we face.
Cool. Yeah, and in the back you also see the QR code, so you can easily connect with people on LinkedIn. I think that's also helpful. Yeah, we touched on it a bit already, but I would like to hear a bit more. So for some of you, it was an urge to do something for themselves, to really take matters into their own hand. Somebody else said, let's give it a try. So what was, in the end, the actual deciding moment that you said, okay, this is it. This is what I want to spend my time on? Yeah?
Okay. For me, my background is in microelectronics masters, and I had a very good profile back in India, and we moved as a family to Netherlands 4 years ago. I thought that, okay, I have built a profile good enough to get into anything now. So, and 1 year I just wanted to take a break, deliberate break, so just to see how beautiful Europe is. This is the first time I have been to Europe also. So I just took a break, and then I started looking. Then I started getting all kind of replies telling, when I started looking for entry level, I started getting, okay, you don't have enough, you are too overqualified, yes. And in the mid-level, okay, you are not having enough experience. So what I did is, I went to my LinkedIn and set it at the C-level positions and set my notifications as, okay, now, not the bottom level, not the middle level, so let me try for the C-level. And then that's how I got to know about HighTechXL. And from then I was fortunate enough to build a good team and then work towards some sustainability goals. And then, yeah, it's a very diverse team. I'm proud to say that our team is 5 people who can speak 14 languages. So that's my...
So daring to grow, diversity, it's all in there.
Yeah. Name it.
Jayda, anything you would like to elaborate?
Yeah, sure. Actually, for me, it was a bit of mix of coincidence and to let go of my internal desires and hopes. Because when I came here, one option, an easiest option for me was going back to corporate life, applying for positions at companies like ASML and Philips. But I was also always interested in the startup ecosystem because working back in my previous company, we initiated the corporate venture investment strategy. So I scouted startups, I had meetings with them. I was really impressed by their success stories, how they built something from scratch and then grow a very big team to a company. So I thought that it might be a good opportunity for me to take a step outside of my comfort zone. So I approached a couple of companies, including HighTechXL, but of course not directly establishing my own company. I was trying to find some positions within the ecosystem, like as an investment analyst, helping startups, as a venture builder, etc. But then I heard about this program. We came together with a team and we find a good business case. Then I found myself starting my own company. But I would like to also say a couple of words about a specific reason of selecting this business case. Because in our startup, we are developing a solution which can reduce the food loss, mainly in the long-term storage, but also in different parts of the supply chain. So while looking for different business cases, application areas, I also felt that it is a really hard motivation for me to create some impact, to prevent the food loss, to really make something good for the society and also the environment. Because while I was doing a project, I will keep it short. While I was at McKinsey, I did one project, and it was the first time for me that I heard we lose or waste 1/3 of the food globally. And even for different segments, the numbers can go even higher. And since then, I became more conscious about, in my private life, trying to prevent the waste at home. Then, while looking at the different applications, of course, we made some many more logical assessments. Not only we didn't decide it by our feelings, but I think this kind of feelings, internal drivers, are also very important if you are investing for a long time journey. Because whenever you feel less motivated, this kind of things can keep you going forward. So this is actually how we started the company.
Yeah.
And still going on.
Yeah. So purpose helps. Huh? Strong
Definitely.
purpose, something that really gets you out of bed in the morning, and even when things are a bit more difficult.
Yeah, in your daily life, when you come across some problems, you don't feel it immediately. But when you take a step back and ask yourself why I'm still doing this, then this kind of purpose really helps.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I was wondering, because you've been part of a completely female team, and Mikron.X was only female at some point.
Only female.
Yeah. So, yeah, people sometimes say that women tend to look at things differently or do things maybe a bit differently. Did you experience that yourself, and do you have any reflections on that you would like to share?
I think we as people really tend to group and structurize things too much, yeah? So it's like based on gender, based on age, based, you never know on what other characteristics. I personally believe we're all individuals, and it's about 8 billion of us these days, and each of us is different. How you come with a specific team and find the group dynamics, there are very many influential factors which probably are coming from our background, and not only from ourselves, but from many generations before us. But I don't believe in just specific female characteristics.
Yeah, maybe it's good that I share maybe a few of my observations, because I've worked with you. And I've gotten to know you as really resilient. And I'm not sure if that's a typical female thing, but I've seen with you the patience also to not directly score or not directly be successful, but really being in there for the long run. So that's at least something that I found in all of you. So whether that's typical female or whether that's typical you, I leave it up to you. Anybody else would like to share some?
Maybe there's a strong connection between female and motherhood, I would say, because when we become a mother, we don't know what is right and wrong. We just go with, like, same thing in entrepreneurship. It's like you don't know what you are looking into every day, but you will deal with the uncertainties. So, and just go ahead. Yeah, that's what I would like to say.
Yeah, maybe I can also add a few things. I'm not a mother, but I think in general, women are have more tendency to be a caring person. We care about not only ourselves, but also for the people we are working with within our teams, sometimes with the clients, with our partners. So I think for the other party, it makes it feel like more valued. They feel that they are valued, their needs are also important.
Yes.
I think in tough situations and within the team engagement, this kind of character really helps while you are building a startup.
Yeah, so that's a quality that you actively put to work in your team.
Yeah. And sometimes not very intentionally, you know. This
Or
is inside
automatically.
somewhere, yeah, automatically.
Okay. Thanks. So, yeah, talking about growing and the challenges that you've been facing and the resilience, could you maybe elaborate a bit on the biggest challenge that you've been facing? Becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah, the biggest challenge, I think, sometimes you are in a room of so many experienced people, so I start getting a self-doubt on myself. I have not formally gone through any course wherein, like, what are the do's and don'ts of an entrepreneur. You're just learning on the go. So, and I started last year, and still I'm learning, and how do I overcome is just by talking to people and just interacting how it can be done. This is how it is. So the biggest challenge for me is sometimes it's like self-doubt. Do I still belong here? How does it? It's not the people who make me uncomfortable. It's about myself, I feel sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a session about the imposter syndrome, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can imagine. So it's about positioning yourself and also overcoming a bit the self-doubt, or maybe, yeah. Okay.
I think there's so many challenges. I don't know where to start.
You don't know where to start, yeah, okay.
But one of the biggest challenge is really being resilient, because startup journey is not something straightforward. There are always ups and downs. So you need to be resilient. You need to still find some motivation, and also not only motivate yourself, but also motivate your team, your partners, people around you. You need to make them believe in you. So I think it's not easy to do this in hard situations, because in the startup you try to reach out your prospective clients, and you don't have that much to offer at the beginning. Or you apply for subsidies, fundings, you reach out to investors, and rejection is also part of this journey. You really need to be strong when you face this kind of challenges. So there are many, but maybe it's good to keep it short.
And for you then the purpose helps, I think, that's what you mentioned. Other things that you do to stay resilient?
Yeah, many things actually. The purpose definitely helps. Your dream, your hopes helps. Because for me, I have background in corporate companies. As I mentioned, it is easier for me to go back. So whenever I feel this fear, I have the tendency to go back. Yeah. But when you think about long term, your future, hopes, dreams, then this is what keeps you motivated. Purpose is one part. Your dreams, your hopes, also another part, the expectations. But also you need to manage it in a more clever way. So, for example, I feel this financial insecurity because we didn't raise big funds. We are still living on subsidies and grants, so I needed to generate another revenue stream for myself. I found my personal proprietorship company. From time to time, I had some projects to earn my livings. So you need to be clever. You need to find different ways. Try to be flexible to overcome this kind of challenges.
Yeah. Thanks. Valentina.
For me, the biggest challenge was really to keep the belief. You know, it's and find the evidence of this every day, every week. And then I think when you really start with your mission, and I know that this is what the girl started, that's what keeps you doing every day. You know, it's like I'm solving this problem which I came to resolve here, setting up the startup. For us, because we started with the technology and we were trying to find the application, and it had to resonate with ourselves, which did. But learning the way was every time a challenge. Are we still doing the right thing? That's my take from Mikron.X. Yeah.
Yeah. And is that something that you're also applying now in your new venture or your?
Yeah, my new venture is actually making a couple of steps back to my belief that technology can bring us as individuals to the next level, and that artificial intelligence, digital transformation will help us as humans make better and right decisions, and that does feel better at this moment. But you never know where we are in 6 months' time or in 12 months' time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then to make it even more challenging, like I mentioned, you're not originally from the Netherlands. So do you have any reflections on that? Was it easier or more difficult to start up a company here?
Both. Actually, now our end customers are growers or storage companies who grow apples, pears, and then store it. So as you can imagine, this is a very traditional industry. People can speak English, but of course they would like to speak in Dutch. And even if you speak Dutch, as I mentioned, you need to speak the language of the growers. So it is not enough even if you speak Dutch. So it was a great challenge for us.
Challenging market.
Yeah, it was a very challenging market. So on one hand, we have the motivation, purpose, but on the other hand, it brings the challenges as well. So we reached out to them through some connections, some intermediary companies, which made our life a little bit easier. But on the other hand, I think starting a company here in the Netherlands has also its advantages. The overall ecosystem is very startup friendly. So the processes are easier to establish a company. You have other companies and startups, your peers around you, they're always willing to support. The companies like ASML, Philips, they are contributing a lot for the development of the region, so they are also supporting you. So all in all, I think this is a very startup friendly ecosystem. But as a foreigner, it has its own challenges because I didn't have any network here. I started, but I still cannot speak Dutch well. So it doesn't make it easy, but there are also other things which makes your life easier.
Yeah.
Subsidies and grants, this kind of
the
financial
ecosystem.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Okay. Anita?
Yeah, for me, I think working with Dutch people is very interesting and very direct. So we'll get a lot of good feedbacks, bad feedbacks, whatever it is, criticism, so you can improve yourself. But at the same time, I don't have the problem what Jayda had because I had co-founder as a Dutch-speaking guy. So he was doing the talking, I was just observing the thing, so no problem. So, and apart from that, the ecosystem where we are here, so it's wonderful to be in this campus, and yeah, it helps a lot. I think the place matters a lot when you start.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
You
it
think
doesn't.
it would have been different in your country of origin? Would you?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think I would have had a book to write about the struggles I had gone through to start my own company. But no, now I'm in a better place, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I see the biggest difference here, that here I don't have to compete with females. Only with men, especially in the startup ecosystem, because I do see a completely different approach. You know, it's kind of embracing, it's supportive, it's collaborative, and once you're also part of let's say HighTechXL was in my case, you're constantly supported, you know, sometimes you really develop the imposter syndrome. Do I deserve this? Do we really, how it can go? Is it the way? Because it sometimes seems easier. But of course, when you overcome and face the problems which you have to solve with the team, you realize it's still a hard work of startups. But I feel that completely different, and I feel much more supported than ever back before.
Okay.
I would like to add also something to the question, what would happen if you were in your original country. I think we have already stopped the company if you were in Turkey. Because we changed our business case once, we changed our technology approach once, so which means it can be considered like as a failure or a learning curve. So I think if I would start the business in Turkey, probably we have already stopped, and from the financial perspective, it would be more difficult for us to raise this amount of grants and subsidies.
Okay. So there it would have been considered more a failure than a learning pivot.
I think so. I think so. Yeah, I would get maybe more support through my network.
Yeah.
That part would be more easier for me personally. But if we make a comparison in a more objective level, I think it's much more easier to start a new company here.
Okay. Okay, so before we go to the questions of the audience, any tips or advice to people in the audience who are considering starting up their own venture in deep tech? Any wise words?
Maybe I can do some remarks of my own learnings. At the beginning, I had lots of difficulty. I'm not a person who can ask for help easily. But in a startup, you need to deal with many things. Some of them are at the strategic level, some of them are at the operational level. So you cannot really do everything yourself. You need to get support from the team, from the other advisors, mentors, from all of the ecosystem. So if you want to establish a company, please keep in mind you need to get support. You need to ask for help on a timely manner. Otherwise, you can just burn out, or you need to shut down the company. So this is one important learning. I still don't say that I am good at asking for help, but I think it's getting better. And another thing, there will be lots of uncertainties, unclarities. It's not easy to make decisions in that kind of an environment. But still it's important to take some risks. You can never know all the parameters that goes into that decision. So also make your decisions on a timely manner and then follow it. Take the risk if you fail, and then you can restart again.
Thanks, nice.
For me, my advice would be just do it. Just give a try. It's worth the journey. Like, just don't think about the destination, how it will be. Enjoy the journey. just make it it's like your own baby. I would like to again connect to the motherhood. So it's your own baby. Just give some thought and you'll never leave it. And if you have a good faith in your own, whatever you're building up. That's my advice. Just
So how many kids do you have?
only one.
And the startup.
Yeah, that's that give birth to one startup. So
And startup, yeah, exactly.
Now, for me, it's really if you want to pursue startup, just try to connect it with your own values, which are really deep in you. That's number one. And then the second thing, I think it's rather regret doing things than not doing. Yeah. So you can always, when you're somewhere with your pension, say, you know what? I once tried a startup.
Thanks. Yeah, maybe some questions from the audience. I see some hands going up. Yeah.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Claudia Sijsromans, and I'm working on a startup for serious gaming for integrity and compliance. But I also have a corporate background, so I have a question for Ceyda.
Yes.
Because now I have the domain knowledge, corporate background. It brings you a lot, right? How should I build my company? All the legal things and the finance things. But then for my MVP, I need technical people, and I don't have them really in my network. So that's where I'm struggling now. I feel like I'm going in circles. So I'm wondering, how did you build your team and make sure that you have all the competences that you lack? And
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I had the same challenges. I have industrial engineering background, but I'm not a technical person. So when we first established the team, actually HighTechXL coordinates that part. They also bring in technical people and business people together to establish the team. But even in that setup, we had challenges because we had to split the team. The team that we originally started. Then I had background, I had my network in Turkey, so I brought one technical guy from my own network from Turkey. Then he also needed to stop after a while. But during this period, we also looked for other people within the whole ecosystem or within all Netherlands, because we also saw that it was very challenging to work with someone who was still a resident in Turkey. So we reached out to universities, we asked all the companies that we were working with. So you just make a meeting with your potential partners, then at the end you can still ask this question: we are looking this kind of a profile, do you have someone in your network? We always ask the same question to HighTechXL because they have a better network and connections. So even if you feel that that person or company is irrelevant to ask this question, take the risk, ask the question. You never know where can you get the support. So basically, you can ask the question at the end of each meeting.
Thanks. Hi, Katarzyna Gajska. Jayda, you mentioned resilience and having those worst days when you're demotivated, and how you still need to, motivate your team in those moments. And it can be a question to all of you guys. Do you then, in such situations, do you try to keep a brave face, or do you share with your team, like, hey, I'm a bit down now? What is your strategy to cope with that?
I don't have a good strategy. I did both. Really, sometimes I try to keep it for myself, not to break the motivation of the others. But then it may come to a level that you cannot still keep it for yourself. You need to share your concerns with the team. I didn't do it with our employees, but I did it with my co-founders. I raised these concerns with the HighTechXL people. So I think at some level you really need to share your feelings. Even if you cannot get any support, you feel that that's a relief. Sharing your feelings, thoughts is also kind of relief.
I think it's an interesting question, because I think sometimes you might be afraid of the panic that also could arise in your team. If you say, okay, we're really, not in such a good shape. But I think in the end they feel it anyway, probably. So why not give the openness and try to get the energy from others, and also see how you can involve them in maybe finding a solution. I think that would be my 2 cents. But You want to add
Now,
something?
for me, I have always been a generalist in different roles, so I always had to rely on people who are experts, and they could never test whether they're doing the right role, job or not job. So it was always a matter of trust, yeah. And then it took me quite long time to learn to say, sorry guys, I need your help, and also to show my emotions occasionally, which is not always happy emotions, but also sometimes frustration, disappointment emotions. But then, unbelievably, I got more feedback, more positive feedback on being that than on being a tough, businesswoman.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Dee. Thanks for wonderful discussions. I have a question to all of you. So when you are running your startups, I wonder what's your experience of convincing other people, like convincing the investors to invest in you, or find the partners to collaborate to buy in your proposals, or eventually find the customers to buy your product.
A lot of convincing there.
Maybe you are close to investment more than us.
Almost there.
I think just tell the story what you have. I think if you believe, I think it reflects on your body language, or how do you present it in front of the investor or the supplier, or what trust you have comes naturally, then I think they believe your story. I don't know how good I can put it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also having a strong purpose also helps. I think because that's what will get you people helping you for free, basically. If you have a good purpose that's really speaking to people, I think it's easier to get things done. So that helps. Other things maybe that you've come across?
Learning a little bit the language of your audience, yeah, who you're going to talk to, what are the values of there, and then what drives them. So we were not very successful in our discussions with investors, but we were quite successful with lots of clients. We made the entry to outstanding networks and wind energy, and then team-wise also you are learning teams as individuals, and that's how you approach one another. I think that's.
Yeah, and I think sometimes startups are selling themselves short. They think, I have not yet launched a product. I maybe not have customers yet. So how can I convince others? But I think you underestimate how many people would love to be part of a journey and the adventure that you also are offering to people. So don't sell yourself short there, I think. Yeah. Other questions?
I think we're running out of time.
Oh. It's there's some hands waving.